Back to another day in the 100 days graphic design challenge. So yesterday we designed this page 2, 3 and 4, and previous day we designed page 1. So today we are going to be designing the last two pages, which are page 4 and page 5. So I head back to my home and I'll click create new. So we are using this 2480 by 1755 pixels. So I'm just going to click create. Okay, so this is what we have. This thing I'm going to do is to bring in the first page so that we can know that we have this side and this side for the fifth and the sixth page rather. Okay, so I drag it and drop it into Photoshop like this, and then I'm just going to take it to this edge and I'll drag it this way. Okay, I'll hit enter. So this is what we did for page 1. So now the next thing I'm going to do is to use my alt and drag this. Okay, and then I'll use my alt and drag this. Okay, to have something like this and something like this. Then I'll just bring in my ruler grid. Okay, I'll just bring it this way and this way. So I'll just close up the eyes of this one and this one. Okay, now I'll just draw my rectangle here. Okay, let me give this a gradient color. Remove the stroke and I'll give it a fill. I'm using gradient color. Okay, let's see this one. So I'll just take this up to this place. Okay, I'm just going to try picking from here. Okay, so after I'm done with that, I'm just going to hit enter and I'll drop my tool. Then for this one, I'm going to draw another. I'm just going to use my alt. I'll drag this rectangle holding my shift and I'm going to change the color to a white. Okay, after I'm done changing this color to white, the first thing I'm going to do is to bring in my text. Okay, I'm just going to type key features. I'll drop my tool and I'll change this color to this. Okay, then I'll just click OK. I'll increase this, not too much. Something like this. Then I'm just going to bring in this rectangle and I'll drag it over here like this. Okay, so we have something of this nature. Then I'll give it a fill. So the next thing I'm going to do is to bring in my text. I already have a text for this, so I'll just drop it into Photoshop like this, and then I'm just going to reduce it. Okay, enter. Then I'll head over to my layers and I'll change the color. I click here and then I'm going to be using color overlay, so I wait for it to load. Okay, so I'll just click on this and then I'm going to be using this. Okay, so we have this. Now the next thing I'm going to do is to bring in price tag. So I just click here and then I use my alt and I drag holding my shift, and then I'll just double click. Okay, I'll just reduce this. I'm going to be using medium, so I click here and I reduce it to this, and then I'll underline it here. Okay, so I have something like this. I'll just bring it to this point and I'll reduce it a bit, not too much. Okay, so I'm just going to hit enter and I'll bring in my text for the price tag. Okay, so I'll just drop it into Photoshop like this, then I'll reduce the size as well. Okay, and I'll place it here. Okay, so I'm just going to hit enter. Now I'll head over to my layers and I'll change the color as well. I'll double click on it and then I'm just going to use this. Okay, and then I'll just hit enter. So this is what we have. So I'll just move this a bit forward. Okay, now after that, the next thing I'm going to do is to add some images here, like car image. So I head back. Okay, I just drop into Photoshop like this and then I'll reduce the size like this. Okay, so I'll keep it here and I'll hit enter. I'll use my alt Ctrl J, holding my shift. I'll bring it here. Okay, I'll reduce this. Reduce it like this. Let me increase it a little bit. Okay, bring it here, then I'll hit enter. I'll use my alt, I'll drag the third one, I'll reduce this. I'll drop it here, then I'll hit enter. So I'll click on the three of them and I'll drag it across like this. Okay, enter. Then I'll just Ctrl G. I'll look for where the white rectangle is. I'll just right click and I'll convert to smart object effects, and then I'll just clip it to this. Okay, it's a new layer here. I'll bring it beneath these images, then I click here and I'll change this color to black. Okay, I'll hit enter, then I'll just increase it and then I'll just so this is what we have. I will now click here and then I'll create a rectangle like this. I'll remove the stroke and I'll give it a fill. I'll use this as the fill. Okay, then I head back to my layers and I'll take it beneath this. Okay, so we have something like this. I'll just click on this and then I'll just reduce the opacity and I'll take it up a bit. Okay, so this is what we have for this particular one. So I'm just going to double click on this. I think this middle one is too much, so I'm just going to reduce it a little bit, not too much, just a little, and then adjust it this way. I'll hit enter and I'll click Ctrl S. So I return back to this. Okay, I'll select these two and I'll just drag it down like this. Okay, so we now have something like this. So after that, the next thing I'm going to do is to design the last page, this one. So very quickly, I'm just going to bring in my text. So I'll just use this and then I'll use my alt, I'll drag over, I'll change the color to white. Like this, and then I'm just going to double click and I will say test drive today. Then I'll change this to monument. Then I'll just drop my tool and I'll reduce this like this. Okay, so I'll just click on this one as well and I'll reduce this to 14.19. Then I'll use my alt and I'll drag this to this next one, and then I'll change the color to white. Okay, so I'll just bring in my text. I'll click this place and I'll just click like this. Okay, so I'm just going to change this to medium and then I'll reduce this and then I'll head over to type. Okay, before that I'm just going to adjust the spacing in between so that it can accommodate more text. So I head over to type and I'll click paste rule Epson. Okay, so I'm just going to change this color to white. I'll click here and I'll change this to white. Okay, then I'll click on this, I'll bring it this way and I'll increase the size a little bit more. I'll take it to 7. Okay, so I'll just adjust the spacing in between. So I'll just click here, I'll click my text tool and I'll click here and I'll just drag this so that it will end where this particular one ended. So we have something like this. I'll just click here and I'll try to bring it to the middle. Okay, and I'll just click here and I'll use my alt and I'll drag and I'll say get in touch with us. Then I'll just bring in my text for this one. So I'll just click here and I head over to this. Okay, I'll also bring in my icons, my social media icons. So I'll just drag and drop it into Photoshop like this, and then I'll adjust it. And the last thing I'm going to do is to bring in my car, and I'll drop it here. Okay, I'm going to resist this. Then I'll hit enter, and then I'll head over to this place. I'm going to use, let's see, I'm going to use linear dodge, and then I'll just clip it to my rectangle. So I go and look for, this is my rectangle, so I'll right click and I'll clip it here, and then I'll just use this to erase. Okay, so with that we have come to the end of this particular design, this particular trifold flyer. We had page 1, page 2, we had page 1, and then the other parts, page 2, page 3, page 4, and then back to this particular one, page 5 and page 6. So I'm just going to add something like an arrow. So with that we have come to the end of this design, and I will see you in the next design. Please do like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. Bye.